Begin transmission. This is a message from the anonymous charity also known as The Collective. Today's broadcast date is January 23, 2019. The Pelosi, Deep State Coup. The Yellow Submarine, a short story. A British submarine is cruising off the US East Coast, deep underwater, 200 miles from Washington, D.C., as part of a NATO drill in the Atlantic Ocean. HMS Ambush, an Astute-class Royal Navy submarine. Michael Steele is the captain of the British submarine, friend of former GCHQ Director Robert Hannigan, and acquaintance of former CIA Director John Brennan. Former GCHQ Director Hannigan had arranged encrypted comms between Brennan and the British captain, under Brennan's request. Admiral XX, of the British Royal Navy, had previously instructed Michael Steele, the submarine captain, to follow Brennan's orders. Steele had been briefed by Benjamin Key and Robert Hannigan on the plan, Operation Slip. Operation Slip is classified. John Brennan gives Michael Steele the approach and up order. British submarine captain executes, activates, stealth mode, and cruises towards the US East Coast. The British submarine is now closer, 100 miles from Washington, D.C. It rises from the deep, to just 50 feet below sea level. The British submarine captain sends Brennan the encrypted all clear, we're ready signal. John Brennan sends to Steele the go order. The captain acknowledges. He then sends the order down to the weapons crew. The crew execute. A cruise missile is launched from the British Royal Navy submarine. It is a Russian-made cruise missile, which had been captured by the British Navy in 2013, and kept in custody in a secret location in Scotland, by a British Navy officer, a John Brennan's friend. Brennan watches the action, live-streamed by NRO satellite stationed above Washington, D.C., equipped with high-resolution video camera. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi is in Brussels, Belgium, in a conference room at the European NATO headquarters. Meanwhile, at the White House, President Trump and Vice President Pence are having a meeting in the Oval Office with NSA Director Nakazan. The cruise missile flies fast, at 530 miles per hour, at 300 feet, below radar detection level. The cruise missile approaches Washington, D.C. The Washington Memorial Obelisk is in sight. The cruise missile hits the White House. A huge explosion rocks Washington, D.C. The White House is destroyed, in ruins. Fire, smoke, debris and ashes everywhere. Alarm sirens can be heard whistling in the air. President Trump and Vice President Pence have been ended. Shock and horror all across the nation. CNN shows the White House destruction scene. Jim Acosta reports live. Antifa members rejoice and celebrate in the streets of San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, and Washington. With President Trump and Vice President Pence now gone, Nancy Pelosi becomes President of the USA. Nancy Pelosi is at the NATO headquarters in Brussels, together with her deep state friends. Among them, former GCHQ Director Hannigan and Admiral XX, of the British Royal Navy. Pelosi rejoices at the success of the operation, and sends a big thank you to John Brennan. Deep state puppet President Macron of France sends President Pelosi his congratulations. So does Angela Merkel of Germany and Boris Johnson of the UK and George Soros. And boozy Jean-Claude Juncker of the EU. Nancy Pelosi is the first female president of the USA. Luckily, it never happened. The Pelosi-Brennan deep state plan was averted and neutralized, before it even began, in the days before November 17, 2018. Thanks to our patriots at the NSA and military intel. We see all. We hear all. And thanks to the US Marines. It would have been a horror and a nightmare. The deep state plan was a JFK assassination reloaded. With much more sophisticated and powerful weapons. A shock and awe event, Sept 11 style. So, We the anonymous charity now ask the question. Where is Nancy Pelosi now? Where is John Brennan now? Where are all the other conspirators? The deep state wanted to assassinate both Trump, both Pence at the same time. In the same location. They wanted and agreed to have Nancy Pelosi as President of the USA. How could the deep state accomplish that? This is just a short novel. Fiction, pure speculation, nothing more. But what if there is some kernel of truth here? U.S. Navy engineer Gary Holland has been our special consultant in writing this thread. Gary is a nuclear engineer who worked on U.S. submarines. We relied on his expertise in the subject of submarines and cruise missiles. Thank you wholeheartedly, fellow patriot. So okay, this is just a novel, fiction. But what about this? Hashtag President Pelosi shortly thereafter. President Pelosi? And shortly thereafter what? Insert image. And what about this? A contract is a contract. In mafia lingo, a contract is when someone hires a killer to murder someone else. So what is Trump hinting at? And it is not the first time Trump uses mafia lingo in his coded tweets. Remember Molly? Molly equals the gangster's girlfriend. Trump was calling Bruce's wife Molly instead of Nellie. Trump to Nancy Pelosi, I'll get back to you soon. Well, this is clear what Trump means, isn't it? I'll get back to you soon. Meaning, I will deal with you soon, Nancy. Meaning, Gitmo. Meaning, military tribunal? It is no secret that the deep state has been plotting to take out 45 since the inauguration day. But he is well shielded and insulated and protected. The plan, started by 35 and to be completed by 45, is well in effect. Trust the plan. This has been a message from Greg Rubini, Gary Holland and the anonymous charity known as The Collective. Today's date is January 23, 2019. End of transmission.